This week in Nightly News, we run around with a member of Vanguard's cross-country team.
Next, we suit up for Marion County teachers' battle against cancer.
Finally, we serve up the details behind last week's volleyball game.
It's here, Vanguard.
You're watching Nightly News. Nightly News. Broadcasting what matters. A Vanguard High School student production. With your anchors, Julia Wilson and Will Giberson. Executive producer, Chris Pollock. And a whole team dedicated to bringing you the news. Nightly News starts now. Happy Friday, Vanguard, and welcome to the 18th edition of Nightly News. I'm Julia Wilson.
And I'm Will Giberson.
So in recent Vanguard news, it's been the talk of campus that we have some pretty dedicated cross-country runners this year.
I've heard a lot about them. It only seems right to take a step into the world of running as one of Vanguard's own competitors relays to us her athletic life.
I run because I love it. I love the feeling that you get when you're running and when you finish the run. I love the time that it gives you to think, and it makes me feel productive.
IB junior Audrey Carpenter has been a dedicated runner at Vanguard High School since her freshman year.
I'd never run before ever, and I never thought that I was going to. But then I thought to myself, oh, why don't I try something new?
I remember one practice, Audrey asked me what was her motivation. And Audrey was the first person to ever ask me a question like that.
And Audrey has since become one of the fastest runners on the team, helping it place second at districts and first at regionals this year.
The last meet we just had was state, and our girls team finished 9th in the state. I finished 31st in the state.
But this has not been the only reward.
Running has made me a lot more determined to complete everything that I set out to do, and it's also made me more competitive.
And of course, none of this is possible without support.
My mom is definitely my biggest fan. She's always at all the meets, and she's probably the loudest person cheering me on.
I try to make sure we have food in the house because that's a very important part of it. I also try to make sure that I get to her meets and support her team in whatever way that I can.
For those around Audrey, her will to persevere has become more than apparent in the past few years.
When she's running, I can see the passion in her eyes that she has for the sport.
It's definitely awesome to see.
To see the fruit of that labor, I think, has been a great blessing. And also because I see the potential of her future. I think she was made to do this.
And a sport that she started just 2 years ago has now made a lifelong impact.
I want to continue running. I want to run in college. And I definitely think that I will continue running my whole life. It's not something that I can just stop, It's like a part of who I am, so.
Reporting for Nightly News, this has been Galina Abdelaziz with Mariah Hamby.
It's definitely no secret that reward comes to those with determination.
So true, especially when faced with grim news.
One Marion County teacher opens up to us about how to keep an open mind on a situation when it gives us every reason to close off to the world.
Like most, Robbie Strasser remembers the big moments in life, like graduating from Vanguard High School and Florida State University, marrying his wife Becky, the birth of his first daughter Natalie, and his first day as a teacher at Oakcrest Elementary. The 28-year-old also remembers one particular day last August.
When I initially had pancreatitis, and they thought it was just some kind of lymphatic cyst or something like that, and it turned out obviously to be a lot more.
A few months later, Dr. Jose Trevino and his team up at UF Shands came to the conclusion that his discovery was cancerous.
The youngest person in the state of Florida was 50. The youngest person besides that in the United States was in their 30s. So for somebody at 27 to get pancreatic cancer, it just seemed impossible.
Strasser was determined to beat this cancer if it was just to see his little girl Amelia, a newborn, and his students at Oakcrest.
We just love each other so much, and we understand each other, and I don't know what we would do without him.
Robbie used all his sick days and lost his paycheck, and although his co-workers wanted to donate all their sick days to Robbie, they couldn't.
Unfortunately, at the time, Marion County was not there yet. You still had to be a blood relative.
But now, Florida legislators have passed a law to allow for non-blood relatives to share their sick days with others by putting their name in the sick paid bank.
Our newest program that we're offering to our employees is an opportunity for them to actually donate sick leave time or sick days to some of their colleagues who may be in situations where they are out of sick time. There are some stipulations. There has to be some signed forms both from the doctor and from the patient.
He unfortunately missed the deadline to sign up.
Unfortunately, I had filled out the card and left it on my desk for the next day. The day was over at that point in time. You know, as most teachers, we tend to stay well past hours and plan for the next day and everything else like that. So everybody from the office had left. I put the card down. That very night I had a very bad attack of pancreatitis.
But no worries, because Robbie Strasser is back on his feet, now playing with his 2 daughters, and will be back to work at the beginning of January.
Oh, I'll probably hug him for 10 minutes.
Johnny Walker with photographers Emily Merriam and Morgan Dotson. Nightly News.
This brings us to our commercial break.
Stay there, Vanguard. We have more coming your way. So there's always more news about our phenomenal volleyball team.
And most recently, about their state championship. Reporters Allie Coons and Justin Peterson take us back to last week's game against Winter Haven.
Last Saturday, the Lady Knights played Winter Haven at Vanguard, which set up our ticket to the Final Four. The game started off with a big kill by Reagan Davey, followed by yet another that left the opponent tumbling. Sadie My Lady follows through with a powerful spike and a crushing defeat for Winter Haven. Lauren Donnelly sets up the Lady Knights for another 25-10 win in the second set. Number 7 Kira Lau helps to bump up the score to 25, resulting in a win for the third set. Congratulations to our girls for yet another Vanguard victory.
Wonderful job, as always, Lady Knights.
You know, something else that also takes a lot of hard work is keeping a marriage strong.
I can only imagine, but it must be helpful to go through life with another person. Reporters Jordan Brown and Savannah Ewers give us the do's and don'ts after a couple says I do.
In today's world, it is difficult to maintain a healthy relationship. That's why the marriage of Lori and Randy Ewers is few and far between.
We've been together for 20 years, and we've been married for 15 wonderful years.
But the two wouldn't have this lengthy relationship had it not been for their awkward beginning.
He walked by, and one of my girlfriends said, "I want to introduce you to him." And she went and got him and brought him over to the table. And all of my girlfriends just disappeared from the table and left him and I sitting there together. And he was very quiet. He walked up with high waters on and a bowl haircut. But we sat there and talked, and I fell in love with him, and the rest is history.
But what happened next in the Ewers' lives was not what either were expecting.
When I was in my late teens, I had cancer, and I was told that I would probably never get pregnant. Then when I was 29, Randy and I got pregnant with our first child, Savannah, and we were super happy, truly surprised.
Blessed. But for the Ewers, with miracles came hardships.
After Savannah was born, we got pregnant with what at that point would have been our second child, and I miscarried in my second trimester. And it was
a difficult time, but
we got through it.
We persevered.
And soon after their difficult times, the Ewers were again pleasantly surprised.
We got pregnant with Sophia.
And despite the hardships that the Ewers faced, they stuck together and will continue to stick together in the years to come. Reporting for Nightly News, this has been Jordan Brown and Savannah Ewers.
Well, that's it for this week, Vanguard.
Don't forget to check us out at nightlynews.org. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for our latest updates. I'm Will Giverson.
And I'm Julia Wilson.
Before we go, we'd like to give a big congratulations to Vanguard Volleyball for being the District 6A state champions.
Have a great weekend, Vanguard.